went to Guruji's workshop in Richard Freeman's place in 2000 in Boulder, Colorado. I went to the workshop. It was 2 weeks workshop. It was in a Buddhist center, and I also went to practice with Richard Freeman. That was the time when I really had a feeling that we have a connection. He had a connection with me, and I had a connection with him. It happened at the same time, that he could recognize that this person is existing. That he was like, okay, Petri. And I was also, there was this moment when, like I tell in a book, that he was answering to my questions without making the questions. So it was that time. He was sitting in a chair like this, and he was talking, and I had I wrote to the paper questions, and he just went through all the questions without that I made any question. So this connection, it was crazy that it happened in that moment, and there was only few people in the room, and I also had a feeling that he was talking to me, and he was looking at me, and he went through my questions. So it was a very clear connection, and that was the time. He could see me, and I could see him. So after that, I went to New York City, came back to Finland, and went back to New York City, and I started to stay more and more in New York. I started to teach in New York, first in a place called Shivashala, and also after in the Guy Donahay's place in Ashtanga Yogashala. So I was living actually at Guy's Yogashala in the back room. But during that workshop, I was living on the 3rd Street between the 1st Avenue and 2nd Avenue. Or it was maybe between A Avenue and 1st Avenue, next to the Hells Angels Center. So that month, it was a typical beautiful time with Patavi Choice. First we were practicing at the Park building, nice place. And when it was the 9/11, we were practicing on the other side of the town, in Chelsea Piers it would call. This big hall, and in the morning we had Saraswati's birthday, because it was her birthday day. We had a cake, and we were singing, and everything was fine. We walked out from the building, and we saw how the first plane crashed to the building. I went to the metro, I went to the uptown where my girlfriend was living, in the east side. And I watched from the TV how the second plane crashed the building. And I went crazy. I took the train. I went as far as I could go with the train. I got off and I started to run. I wanted to see it. I got very close. I was like a few blocks away. And there was so much dust and everything. And it was like a war. There was people were with the big helmets, the army's vehicles around. The dust everywhere. So we had a 1-day break from the practice. The day when nobody could move anywhere because they blocked the streets. They blocked the streets from the 1st Avenue to 14th. The 1st Street to the 14th Street, 14th Street to 23rd Street, 23rd to 28th or something. It went like this. So you couldn't really move outside your block without ID, and I didn't have the American ID. I only had my passport, and I couldn't even prove where I'm living because I didn't really live anywhere officially. So I couldn't go out from my neighborhood. But because I was living in the same area where was the Buck building, just 2 blocks away. But we couldn't practice in a Buck building. We had to go to Eddie's yoga shala. The small yoga shala, but there was not many people because people couldn't move. And you couldn't take any more number 6 from uptown to downtown because it wasn't working. So people had to walk long ways. They had to go through all the blocks. So one day there was rest, and then the second day we started to practice after the 9/11. We're practicing with this terrible smell, like the chemicals. It smelled like meat, you know, the human meat, because many thousand people, or like almost 3,000 people, were like burning. So you could smell all these chemicals and the burning meat, and there was all the time this fire. And Eddie's yoga sala was very close. It was about maybe 10 blocks away in Soho. So there was all this dust, all this smell, but we were practicing. Petri choice was very strong. He said, we will keep practicing, and we will keep purifying, and this is the way how we can deal with this lust. Keep practicing, keep breathing, keep purifying, and not only the body but also the mind, and make this world a better place through the practice of yoga. A few days later we had this big, what is also in DVDs, this memorial puja.
Puja.
Puja. There was this ritual which is also in DVD. I was also there, and it was a beautiful thing, you know. People were crying and getting together, but also hard time. People got crazy on the streets. There was like people really went nuts, screaming on the streets, doing crazy things, running around, being crazy. Like everyone is watching TV and try to find out what is happening. And America strict strike to Afghanistan, and all these crazy things happen at the same time. But we were just keep practicing. There was one day off, and then we were just, Guruji was amazing. He was wearing this fireman shirt, and it was a big moment. It was a big moment. It was. I also felt like I became a New Yorker that time, because I was part of this big thing, and all the world was thinking about New York City. There's lots of energy around, because millions of people, or billions of people were thinking about New York City. And you were in New York City, in that area. So the energy, all this energy which came into the place was amazing. The streets were empty, there was no cars, there was not so many people. People didn't want to go out because the chemicals, the smoke. It was a big time. And it was also a nice time, because after this 2000, after the Colorado workshop, we had this nice connection with Petri Choice. So already in Colorado, I could go to, when they were showing some places to Guruji, I could go with them There was not many people. I was one of those few, and also in 2001 I could go to Guruji's apartment every day.
On the video we saw you.
In the video I'm sitting next to Guruji, so that was every day. I could go to the apartment. I always like, this is something special. I don't know why this is happening. But every day I could just go there and like, hey, it's Petri, and okay, come in. And there was a moment when I was, there was Manju Choice, there was Saraswati, there was Sarat, Guruji, and some other family members. And me, sitting there, I was like really amazed how this is possible. But there was these nice moments. So the connection was very strong. And I think because these connections, I could also write these books. Sarat didn't say anything. He was okay, you're from Helsinki, you have this Ashtanga Yoga school. It looks like you're doing kind of favor for Ashtanga Yoga with this book. Nowadays, I don't know what he's thinking about the books. But it was a special time, being part of the important periods and feeling like being part of the family and part of the energy. So these kind of connections are important when you think about future of Ashtanga. People who had connection with Pattabhi choice, they are the people who are keeping it alive. Other people start to change the system. Without connection, you don't really feel that you even, why? You know, you're like, why I should do this kind of, why I shouldn't take Iyengar yoga system, Shivananda or some other, and put everything together and create like this Ashtanga. So I think only the people who had this connection can really carry on this tradition.